Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well, and welcome to today's upload. Before we jump on into it, a couple quick links. As many of you may know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. These audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click the bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and I definitely appreciate them. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's upload, shall we? All right, so today's upload, I've got a lot of terrifying and informative information. I've got some experiences, but I have, and hopefully the phone call that I had today after kayaking, hopefully it will continue tomorrow and or the next day. And the information I'm going to share with you today, we will hopefully go deeper. So I took some time off to myself in the middle of the day. My daughter, I'm a single dad, 2 daughters, 20, 17. I've raised both of them by myself for the last 6 years. And so my daughter my youngest wanted to see her mom for Mother's Day, but decided to wait till today. A little late, bud. But, nonetheless. And I was like, well, you know what? I got a couple of hours. I'm going kayaking. I haven't been kayaking in a year, and I need some free time. My free time usually is hiking, where Tom Ezek disappeared, and I bring my camera with me. So I'm working on the channel or helping my youngest with her homeschooling. So I take a picture, 2 pictures, I post them on the community page of the channel, and beautiful day in Adirondacks, upstate New York. I'm on the Hudson River, just a couple hours. I turned my phone off probably 45 minutes into the kayaking. And I get done. I'm putting my kayak on the car. I turn my phone on. And you get your notifications. And I had a voice message from a phone number I didn't recognize, because when I talk to subscribers, I used to use my regular phone, but now I use my burner phone, the one that I turn off, because I feel more comfortable using the kind of, in my eyes, more secure than my regular phone. And also it's my regular phone, So this gentleman that I had not spoken to in 5 years, last time I spoke to him, he's a mushroom hunter, and he had some weird stuff going on in the woods where he lived. He came on the show, shared his experiences, and the last thing he had said to me was, I'm going to go out into the woods and da-da-da. And I had like 5,000 subs at this time, I was not, I was still the same person that I am, but my channel was just a little bigger. And now. So I hadn't spoken to him in years, And I had been thinking about him recently. Like, I wonder what happened to him. I hope he's okay. And, he had some personal and marital issues. So he went through a divorce in that period of time. Because the last time I talked to him, I'm going mushroom hunting in those woods where my experiences happened. And I'm like, oh, all right, well, be safe, da-da-da. Then he drops off. So I had been looking in his region to see if he was alive still. I didn't want to bother him. And he tells me, hey, I went through a pretty hard divorce. But during that period of time, I turned my life over to God, to Christ. And I had as well, because of James, Dark Waters. And I am not like the pinnacle Roman Catholic. I have, for the majority, I was baptized and communion, first communion, and confirmation. And then even during that period of time, I was still very spiritual with my Native American roots. My great-grandmother lived on a reservation up north in New York. I have family members and friends that still live up there. And, so I am very spiritual still. And, I have my CDIB card, so I'm a little more focused on that way of life, or was, because being raised with family members that sweat lodges and this and that, and, and not the Elizabeth Warren Native American, but like the real deal, So I have a conflict with that and my turning my life over to Christ. Am I wrong? Am I right? But nonetheless, he turned his whole life over to Christ. He actually, during his divorce, he volunteers at his local church, and he works at his local church as the head custodian. So he does everything at this church. They have a small school there. And he had periodically stopped listening to YouTube channels and stuff because he was really finding himself and finding his way with Jesus. And he started to listen to the channel again, and he was shocked. The last time he knew, it was like 5,000 subs, and he comes back and it's 90-something thousand, and he's like, whoa. And we start talking, and he fills me in, and he's like, listen, I heard, I haven't listened to all your stuff, obviously. I've been gone, and, I've listened to your stuff. I've listened to James, Dark Waters, and he said, I really like how he's going, that political, kind of political way that his channel changed. He goes, I really think that's cool. And, how to hunt, I like him still. And, he goes, but I heard a couple of your uploads just recently. And the one with the Catholic priest and the Mount Shasta, Kirk, Nephilim experiences, the Mennonite and Amish attacks. So he's just like, I'm blown away. But the Catholic priest, the two Catholic priest ones, kind of just shook me a little. And we had some sort of program at the, some function at the church on Saturday, after confessional and then mass and then the function. He said, so I was in the confessional with talking to our local priest, and I proceeded to talk about what you were talking about in your channel. And he said, specifically what you said when you were hiking, how our religious leaders, meaning the Pope and possibly like the cardinals know what is going on with the cryptids, the portals, the inn, and not 100% of what is going on, because I don't think anyone does. I don't even think our own president knows 100%. And I don't even think the clandestine government agencies know exactly. I think that there's a big kind of power game going on. I think maybe the only people that would know more would be the 13 families. But he tells him this, and he says to him, he gives him his penance, and he says, listen, he goes, after Mass and after this function and after you're done with your work, meet me here in the church. I'll be here because I've got to prepare for Sundays, Masses and stuff. And he agrees, and they sit down. And I ended up speaking with both of these. I ended up speaking to this father and this subscriber. And last evening. And he fills him in. And Mark is the subscriber's name. And he went by a different name, but he doesn't want to go by that name anymore. And he asked not to even mention it. So I'm talking with both of these guys, and but during the talk that they had, he finds out that this, and we are going to leave him two things: the state and county, everything is undisclosed. And that doesn't even matter because he never had an experience in that state. And his name of this priest. But he was, for 28 years, a Roman Catholic priest / military chaplain. I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought like a military chaplain was, obviously I'm not. I felt dumb when he said all this, and he proved who he was. He proved it to me. So, but I always thought like if a chaplain, like they got their MOS, and boom, you're a chaplain, or you had some theology, and you were very religious. I did not know that there were Roman Catholic priests that their calling was to work with the military. And it is accepted by the Vatican. It's kind of mind-blowing. So once again, what I said about that being up in the woods that day, how our Pope and possibly the Cardinals would be essentially like our VP and, Madam Secretary, this and that, the high-ups. The priests and the bishops, kind of like Congress and senators. So I had stated, I don't believe pastors and local priests would know what the ends are, but the Pope and cardinals would. And also, apparently now, the Roman Catholic priests that are military chaplains. And interestingly enough, a lot of these, there's a few of them still, a lot of them work with special forces, giving them guidance and helping them figure out how to live that walk with Jesus after these missions that they go on, and Air Force intelligence and such. So it was pretty interesting. And he tells me that not only, he said, you're kind of on the right path. He said our government does know that all of this stuff exists because they do have like you said in one of your uploads, programs where they do breed these creatures. There are programs where these creatures are kept isolated. They do have alien entities that they have taken, and hopefully the agenda never finds out or whatnot. They're aware of it, but it's just they have these things. But there is a subject that they are, the CIA, this clandestine agency that does not work in the United States, really is involved in occult, paranormal, high strangeness, cryptid research, all of that research that we talk about on a daily basis. And if you listen to other channels, that you hear from there on a daily basis. And, he said that these portals, these super soldiers that, they aren't like your robotic super soldiers on Hollywood. These are just men that have become so almost brainwashed by this one clandestine agency that is pretty much evil. They use these, and they do use Dogman, and like Victor the werewolf. And they have programs that they do hunt these things down. And I said, hey, let me ask you, I heard this about Camp Perry. And he said, I've been there quite a few times. There's a naval base that I used to have to go to. He said, I have seen some things that I, probably should not talk about, but as long as you agree to these terms, I'll share. He had seen dogmen and or werewolves in the backwoods area of this CIA farm. And, really interesting stuff. So he starts to discuss, or he asked me, what do you think about these deep underground military bases? Because I had brought it up. I said, well, I think right now, that there's a 5-state hotspot on the East Coast of cryptids, and it would make sense that the breeding program would be in Virginia, one of the base of that 5-state hotspot. But I think that the state of New Mexico and or a partial of Colorado, there is a huge, deep underground military city there. I said, have you ever heard of anything like that? And he said, actually I have. There's, more than you can even imagine. Said that I had to hit pause quick because our mascot, Tigger, blasted through the door. I could hear him thumping down the stairs, and I knew he was going to pound through that door, and sure enough. He states that there is a deep underground military base that is right underneath people's noses, where thousands of people are in this facility daily and do not even know it. The Denver airport. He's been in the depths of there. He had some sort of security clearance. He is not the only Catholic priest / military chaplain. There, not a ton, but a good number of them, and many of them have aged out. Now, he he did not age out. He left on his own accord. He was getting, he started to question his way with God. He actually had to go and work with other religious leaders, I guess, to help him deal with the things that he saw while in the military, if that makes any sense. But there is a deep underground military base in the Denver airport, larger than anyone could imagine. And he said that if you look at these bases, they are all, like we know, they are all connected with tubes. And essentially, that would be like a roadway. But I said, I believe that Dulce and Taos, part of the Archuleta County in Colorado, like I believe that this area is just all one big base or facility, city, whatever you want to call it. But to me, it would make more sense calling it a city. And, he said, I've never been to Dulce. He goes, I've heard about it. I've heard briefings. I've never been there. He had been friends with another chaplain who was and had been there. So he did hear a little bit about what was going on, and they were atrocities, very unholy atrocities would be. And I said, well, what about these reptilians and these, demonic creatures, these reptilian greys, whatever, while working in, alongside of these, if there are any in these bases, how do your other chaplain / Catholic priests view these things? Are they viewed as like demons in your eyes because they travel through portals, they travel possibly through space, and they would constitute as being demonic? Yes, 100%, he states. So essentially, he states that the CIA is running the show on these outfits. They're the ones that, with President Truman, President Eisenhower, and the other presidents, they work hand in hand with these aliens, reptilians, greys, Nordic, whatever, and made these pacts with them alongside of the president, large part of it. And about like the breeding program, seeing these creatures in this farm area called the Farm in Camp Perry. But it was a 45-minute conversation. We prayed after. He prayed with us, with me and Mark on the phone. So it was very informative, and he has to pray. He started to get a little uneasy. And he said, I hope you understand that, right now what I am doing is I believe he feels that he is possibly breaking the laws of the church, but also possibly with what he knows. He did not have to sign any NDAs or anything because he is a priest, and they keep their mouths sealed when it's their bylaws, I guess. So he said, I need to pray on this if I'm going to share with you what I have seen during those years of me working with the military. Obviously, I was in the military, but so I'm looking forward to it. He's got a lot of information, and I'm going to share a little bit of that, some of the stuff that I ran by him with you right now. So he gave validity to things that we already knew, and pretty incredible though that Victor is not with us anymore, and that man still never ceases to amaze me. I held on to that Camp Perry information for 3 years, and I figured it was time. He gave me permission to, let you guys know, but he said, wait until you feel that you have the right time to share it. And I did last night. So right now, I'm going to share some very terrifying but very informative information with you. So being that I am fascinated with, and until I'm proven wrong, that city idea underneath New Mexico and Colorado, I'm going to share. This is Albuquerque, New Mexico. Mazzano Mountain, or Kirtland Air Force Base Munitions Storage Complex, was excavated by the Air Force to serve as a nuclear weapons storage area. The mountain is visible a couple of miles south of I-40 on the eastern outskirts of Albuquerque. Security is extremely tight. Also reports of grays operating within some deeper levels. A 285,000 square foot underground extension facility was constructed in the same area in 1989, although heavy secrecy surrounds that facility. Dulce, the Macarla Apache Indian, believe that their ancestors emerged from the caverns in ancient times. When they emerged, they were plagued by monsters, saurians, which would be the reptilians. Some wanted to go back down, but once their heroes slew all of these monsters, all was at peace, ironically. Is now reported under the control of some of the very monsters or reptilians that they may have succeeded in driving underground. We all know Dulce, in the town of Dulce in northwest New Mexico, 1 block from the Pan Am building is the old high school, now used as an engineering facility by Macon and Hanger. Inside that facility is an elevator that leads to level 1 of a massive underground facility beneath Dulce area, which is also known as Ultra, or Section D, which runs under Main Street at a depth of 200 feet. This level is guarded by pre-force security, whereas deeper and more secure levels under the Archuleta Mesa to the north contain automatic devices designed to kill intruders. Dulce is by far the most massive and most strategic of all underground hubs of the joint military industrial / alien imperial collaboration in North America, with numerous tubes / tunnels radiating all over the continent and beyond. An underground military base laboratory in Dulce connects with the underground network of tunnels which honeycombs our planet. On the lower levels of this base are alleged under the control of inner Earth beings or aliens. This base is connected to Los Alamos, research facilities via an underground tube / shuttle. In 1947, a road was built near Dulce Base under the cover of a lumber company. No lumber company has ever hauled, and the road was later destroyed. Navajo Dam is the Dulce Base main source of power, though the second source is a El Vado, which is also another entrance. So El Vado, interesting. The subterrane, the Los Alamos nuclear powered tunnel machine that burrows through the rock underground by heating whatever stone it encounters into a molten rock, which cools after the subterranean has moved on. The result is the tunnel with smooth glazing lining. Bechtel is a super secret international corporate octopus founded in 1898. Some say the firm is really a shadow government working arm of the CIA. It is the largest construction and engineering outfit in the United States and the world. The most important posts in the United States government are held by former Bechtel officers. There are over 100 secret exits near and around Dulce. Many around Archuleta Mesa, others to the source around Dulce Lake, and even as far as Lincoln. The deep sections of the complex connect into a natural cavern system. The area around Dulce has a high number of reported animal mutilations and cryptid sightings, as well as UFO accounts. The researchers at Dulce Base have also been abducted. Several people from Dulce, civilian population, and implanted devices of various types in their heads and bodies. Began producing blood at Dulce Base in the mid-'80s. The human and animal abduction slowed considerably. It may be worthwhile to check out Livermore Berkeley Labs. Delta Group is responsible for security of all alien-connected papers. The Delta system is a black triangle on a red background. Dulce Base symbol is the delta. Black base symbol delta with the Greek letter tau or tau within it, and then the entire symbol is inverted, so the triangle points down. Guadalupe Mountains in the 1800s. Two trappers reported finding a cave in Guadalupe Mountain which they followed to a considerable depth, hiding behind a large outcropping of rock. They observed in fascination and in horror a procession of beings, hooded robes, enter a large cavern and begin to chant, at which a crystal-like entity descended from the stalactites above, hovered, and in a multiple colored design communicated with all of the beings in some type of xylophone-like manner until it once again ascended and then lost among the stalactites above, at which the possession descended downward through the passage where they emerged. Los Alamos, this is all New Mexico. So am I right? I don't want to be right. I really don't want to be I don't want to have a city as larger than LA in New York City, underground in New Mexico, and part of Colorado. But, Los Alamos, massive underground joint military alien facility connected via shuttle to Dulce, New Mexico facility in northwest. The deeper facilities under Los Alamos reportedly descend to great depths and intersect with alien sectors, which constitute the largest cattle mutilation in the United States, has reportedly been transported. Daily shipments of cattle are ravenous points in the mountains southeast of LA, where some have reported massive UFO activity on these occasions. There's also ancient hieroglyphs depicting alien beings and to rendezvous points in the mountain SE, Los Alamos, where some are reported massive UFO on these occasions. Oregon Mountain, Lake Oregon, not Oregon, but Oregon Mountain, 60 miles northwest of El Paso, Texas, in the Oregon Mountain of New Mexico. Helen Compton Gordon and her husband discovered an old abandoned mine far above Bean Blossom Mine near a former home. Climbed the ore-splattered slope. They entered another mine and discovered deep inside an immense chasm separated from the main tunnel, passage by rock wall on the other side, of which was a narrow ledge precept at the edge of the charm. They threw lit sticks down the shaft, and they seemed to fall forever. Also, rocks were thrown in which they could not hear a boom. An old-timer in the area told them that it was a glory hole, and the miners tended to avoid them. Pie Town, an unexpected cave with large steps leading down into the earth near El Morro National Monument, northeast of Pie Town, also reports a southern extension base between Pie Town and whatnot. San Cristobal, a homeless man spent the night at Black Rock Cavern near some hot springs north of San Cristobal, which is north of Teos. He was frightened from the cave after seeing a lizard-like human the size of a man walk upright on 2 feet. Taos. Reports of Native American legends stating that Montezuma was born near Taos and was instructed by beings who lived in Pueblo Peak, which is near Blue Lake, where UFOs have been seen entering and exiting the water near Taos. Exiting the water. In a cave above the Lucero River, not far from Frejole Canyon, ancient and modern sacrifices were carried out by a secret cult, members of the secret society. Groups in Taos have been found beheaded. Holy shit. Members of the secret society groups in Taos have been found beheaded, like Arthur Manby, who told of a secret Aslan hot springs roughly 11 miles northeast of Taos, flanked by petroglyphs on canyon walls. Truth or consequence. Mr. Lemon states that when he was young, maybe 12, he was hunting deer north of Truth or Consequence and was tracked wounded deer he had shot when they came from acres of carvestone stairwell that led down into the earth, which they determined to investigate after he had killed the deer. He searched years by, but was never able to find the enigma staircase. Colorado, Blanca Peak, Mount Blanca, or Mastiff, is located in the mysterious San Luis Valley of Colorado, which had been a hotspot for sightings of UFO, animal mutilation, and or unidentified cryptid-like creatures. Also, southwestern tribes have legends involving caverns below the Mount Blanca, San Luis Lakes, and Great Sand Dune National Monument region, though which their ancestors migrated during the time of the surface natural disasters before emerging onto the surface once again. There been some rumors of attempted government attack upon an underground alien gray. Attempted government attack upon underground alien gray base beneath Mount Blanca using deadly nerve agents, which backfired and failed. Blanca Peak is located near Alamosa and Wellensburg. Alamosa. I've had a subscriber from Alamosa sharing experiences that he had. Oh my God, Delaware Bay. Richard Shaver created a stir after sending a Miss MS to editor Ray Palmer, who investigated UFO incidents, who happened to be close associate of Clay Shaw, the attorney James Garrison, accused of being a mafia/CIA go-between in the JFK assassination. Palmer also having publicized Arnold's own sighting of the disk craft over Mount Rainier, which became original source of the term flying saucer. Schaefer's miss was originally titled a warning to a future man, until it is embellished and occultized by Palmer to accommodate his metaphysical and social and science fiction oriented readership. A renamed Remember Lemura. Shaver told of his own experience where he heard people's thoughts while working on a certain arc welding machine at an auto plant in Detroit. A machine made him sensitive to having thought waves of others in the factory. However, he claimed that many of those voices or thought waves, what he intercepted, did not come from a factory, but emanated from caverns below. Man, so he's hearing these voices, and once again, this is interesting right here. Shaver also told how his first visit to the caves occurred when a hologram of a young woman led him to a cavern entrance. Also, of his second and last physical visit to the hidden cave entrance on the east coast of Delaware Bay via boat, which they navigated a water-filled passage for a few miles until he reached Taro City. While there, the Darrows, he claimed, attacked and killed one of his friends, but for some reason they left Schaefer alive. Schaefer left that cave and never returned. Huh. So right now, talked about deep underground military bases with the priest. Assured that this is information that I had a couple years ago that had been sent to me via a not an SD card, but a flash drive. And these are projects conducted by the CIA on people. And 1947, the CIA begins to study LSD as a potential weapon for use on American intelligence. Human subjects, both civilian and military, are used and without their knowledge. 1953, CIA initiates Project MK-Ultra, 11-year research program designed to produce and test drugs and biological agents that would be used for mind control and behavioral modification. 6 of these sub-projects involve testing an agents on unwitting human beings. CIA in 1955, CIA in an experiment to test its ability to infect human populations with a biological agent, release of bacteria withdrawn from the Army's biological warfare arsenal over Tampa Bay, Florida. 1965, Project CIA and Department of Defense began Project MK Search, a program to develop a capability to manipulate human behavior through the use of mind-altering drugs. 1966, CIA initiates Project MK Often, a program to test toxicology reports or effects, toxicological effects of certain drugs on humans and animals. CIA and Department of Defense implement Project MK Nomi, successor to MK Ultra, and designed to maintain, stockpile, and test biological and chemical weapons. I'm just scanning through because there's a ton of them, and I'm not going to read them all, but it's just, it is far, far too many acts by the CIA to create weapons and then telling us that they don't do anything on U.S. soil. It's all foreign. This is United States creating weapons, given the history of the United States government and its military-industrial complex, biological and human warfare, human weaponry warfare, weapon warfare. So creating chemical, biological, and human weapons, which would be the super soldiers, which is terrifying nonetheless. Absolutely terrifying. We talked about the Syrians. The continuing situation with the regard of MP, a 20-year-old woman in Vegas, had brought many interesting factors. Her first abduction occurred when she was 5 years old. In December of 1975, she experienced over 400 abductions since that time. An average of 2 months around 1987, she found that she was able to retain more and more memory. She is also an excellent artist with a photographic memory. There's sufficient evidence that She had been on various crafts, taken to underground facilities in the mountains of Arizona and in the desert near Paradox, Nevada. The Nevada facility is located near Paradox area. She was also brought to this facility in 1987. The facility is not as large as the ones in Arizona. The faculty is generally described as one oriented towards genetic work. Large cylinders containing amber and pink and light blue fluids were noted. These cylinders appear to be similar to those detailed in Matrix 2. All cylinders contained humanoid forms. So these are the cylinders that contain containing a light blue fluid containing forms of creatures that do look human in a way. Others contain a hybrid genetic variant of humanoid, meaning Dogman, Bigfoot, other creatures that they are creating, but they existed long before they need the code to create. So the Sarians said something to the effect that she was affecting the balance of the Confederation. If that is so, then we are all certainly in for it. At this facility, Sarians, Greys, and another part of the facility, she saw what appeared to be U.S. military members with the Greys and other creatures. There was other beings that she described as light beings. Her description of them, they were humanoid, but there were no details in the form. They just emitted light. So hopefully Mark and the priest will contact me tomorrow or the next day, and he can share some of this information that he had seen and witnessed. And other things that other chaplains had witnessed. I mean, if he made it seem like the only area he had seen was the Denver airport, but he did state that he knew other chaplains that had worked and kind of shared the word with soldiers that were in Dulce. So I don't know what he's going to share. He did say that these creatures, these Syrians, these alien creatures are all throughout, even in Denver airport. But it's interesting because you think about all of these Dogman sightings and crawlers and Bigfoot. There's a connection, and it's very scary that in the center of all of that is the CIA. And there you have it, folks. I hope you all enjoyed today's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you for supporting the channel. It is your support, after all, that helps the channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories, judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.